I just got back from ITNation Grow in Houston. What a wonderful event. It's early February 2025. I got to speak to 10 great guests at this ITNation Grow as part of Evolve, which are the peer groups, which I was a member of for, oh my goodness, close to 20 years. I was a facilitator for a while in the managed service provider industry. But I was invited to go there. Grow is a particular event in the middle of the Evolve meetings and on the Wednesday, where it talks to MSPs about looking to when they're going to make their exit, if they're going to merge, get acquired, or acquire others. It's quarterly event, but I had 10 great conversations. It started with Cass Lawrence from Blumera. Great conversation with Cass, Brian Hoppy, Kevin Hogsmoser, who I've spoken to before, Jon Cooper, TJ Jackson was a great conversation with TJ, Tom Hermstead, great conversation. I first time I spoke to Tom. Harden Byers, my goodness, I've known Harden for 15 years. I haven't seen him. He was back. They're putting the band back together. I had a great conversation with Harden, Nick Recker, MSP, Blue Alliance. Never spoken to Nick before. Great conversation. Sean Brown, my friend for many, many years. He's got an exciting new consulting firm along with his MSP that keeps growing. And Dr. Larry Little. I had the great pleasure of knowing Larry for 15 years. Haven't seen him for, my goodness, 5-6 years. And we caught up and we caught everything on camera. It was a great conversation. So I want to thank all those guests. I want to thank Arlen Sorensen for inviting me, Matthew Lavender, Scott Scroggin, and all of ConnectWise. Just a wonderful event. One of the breakouts at the Grow event. Had my two very good friends, Brian O'Shaughnessy and Rob Bruce, talking to the group via Teams, via virtual, about their merger, which is a great event. Proud and glad to be part of it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. I found myself at 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People ask me, how'd you do it? What's the secret? I need to lose weight. How'd you do it? How did I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually asked them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others.
What is it about Hawaii that you like so much?
Oh, it's like bath water. First of all,
It's warm.
yeah, it's very warm. Yeah. So my favorite thing to do is snorkel with turtles and dolphins. Like last time I was there, I snorkeled with a pod of 200 dolphins. No doubt.
$200.
As close as I am to you right now.
Wow. And what happens? Do they bump up against you? Do they?
Yeah, they maybe keep their distance a little bit, but if I was to reach my arm out, I could definitely touch them for sure.
It's amazing, and they're not hostile at all.
No, absolutely not. So friendly, and yeah.
And were there other snorkelers with you?
Yeah, there was probably 50 people in the little cove that we were in.
Wow. And how far from the shore?
I swam out maybe 50 to 100 yards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Football field.
Football field, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you have flotation devices?
No, I didn't. No.
Wow.
I just swim out and snorkel around with them.
It's so fun, huh?
Yeah, I got great video of it.
Oh, you took camera.
I'll have to show you when I'm done, yeah.
Do you want to connect with business leaders and engage consumers who take action? The Joey Pinz podcast delivers high-impact conversations to an audience of decision makers, entrepreneurs, and professionals across multiple industries. A fast-growing audience of highly engaged listeners, both B2B and B2C. Millions of listens and views across YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Brands that sponsor us see real engagement, conversations, and brand loyalty. Whether you're looking to sell a service, promote a product, or establish thought leadership, our sponsorships offer premium ad placements, exclusive episode sponsorships, full season branding, and event partnerships. Don't just advertise, become part of the conversation. Visit us at joeypins.com/sponsor to get started, or email us at sales@joeypins.com. Joey Pinz Podcast, where thought leaders, brands connect.
Yeah, very cool. That's for you're from Sacramento.
From Sacramento, yes.
Not much snorkeling there.
No, not a whole lot of snorkeling there.
No. And why not take up scuba?
I maybe because I'm lazy. I don't know. I never got certified.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of work and equipment, right? And you gotta taking on another hobby for me doesn't sound like something I want to take on. Yeah. So you've been in MSP for 25 years?
Yeah, since 1999. Yeah. Well, I take that back. We were a break fix shop for the first 7 years we were in business, and then in 2006. I read a book by Eric Simpson, who's kind of a thought leader in our industry, right? Yeah. And the book was called The Best IT Sales and Marketing Book Ever. That was the name of the book. So, and it articulated how you could take your business from break fix to managed services and why it would be worth it. And we kind of took that as like gospel, right? In 2006, and we did what was outlined in that book, and it transformed our organization.
Wow.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
So you started the company in 99?
Started the company in 1999 as, like I said, more of a break fix shop.
But that was Y2K, John. I was in business back then too. Everyone was afraid the computer was going to die. Is that why you started?
Yeah, that was a little bit of an interesting time. You know, we were all wondering what was going to happen, but really nothing happened, right?
Nothing happened. Nothing.
It was a great opportunity to sell some stuff.
It was. It was. And I remember like as the planet started turning in, you know, because we're almost last to, you know, to see the new year.
Sure.
All these little islands, everybody's fine. Everybody's like the news was coming in. And yeah, what a crazy time that was. Yeah, very different now. Hard to, I mean, we had no World Wide Web then. So it was very, very different. We weren't really all connected. I started my MSP in 93.
Yeah.
And so we made our biggest acquisition right then in 99. And yeah, Y2K was...
We had some internet, right? You know, we had 56 or, you know, 33K modems or 56K modems, right? And at about that time, 1999, 2000, I had just gotten my first broadband from Comcast, you know, where I got, you know, a whole 75 or 80 megs down.
Yes. And we had a dedicated server as like a proxy to like serve the network. I mean, it was just radically different. So what do you like now about it now, being MSP now?
Well, you know, just being a business owner, right? I just like the challenge of being a business owner just in general, right? I started my first company when I was 23 years old. So I basically started Total Secure Technology when I was 30. So I had already had a couple of other small ventures prior to entering this space. And, you know, I just like the challenge of managing and running a business day to day.
Wow. Yeah. So we're here in Houston. It's ITNation, Evolve and Grow. It's beginning of February 2025. What's some of your goals here?
Yeah. So, you know, we have a desire over the next 5 to 8 years to grow through organic growth and acquisition, right? We have very specific strategic areas that we're looking to grow through acquisition, like we're looking to tuck in smaller MSPs. When I say smaller, I mean smaller than us. We're about a $5 million a year top line revenue company, and we're looking to tuck in, maybe companies down to half of that, right? So in top line revenue. And we're looking for organizations that are in between Fresno and the Oregon border, right? And the reason why we want to be a little strategic like that is because I just don't want to get too far out over my skis for my next, six acquisitions.
So have you made acquisitions yet?
We have, yeah. So our first one was in 22, and we bought a smaller MSP over in the Monterey Bay area.
Monterey.
Yep.
And so you want to stay that whole West Coast?
Yeah. Like I said, really Fresno to the Oregon border, and from Reno probably over to the coast, right? So
I see. And you wouldn't want to branch out because it would be too hard to maintain. You wouldn't.
So we're still building out our leadership team, right? We have a 3-person leadership team. And I think until we get our leadership team fully built out to where we can handle something beyond our region, right? Paul Dipple, who you probably know in this industry, suggests that, your first few acquisitions aren't more than a day's car ride away from your headquarters or your house, right? Enough to where you can get up early in the morning, go see the branch office that you bought, and then get home for a late dinner. That's what he says.
Very interesting.
And why would I argue with Paul Dipple, right?
Yes. So your goals here are to find MSPs that fit that bill?
So I've been a member of Evolve or the HTG community at large since 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, we've learned a lot since being a member here. I probably don't come to Evolve to build those relationships because there's a broader group that comes from all over the country and really even all over the world now, right?
Yeah.
So I go to West Coast events a lot to meet other MSP business owners. So we're this month I'm not gonna be home for almost a month because we're doing consecutive West Coast events.
Wow.
Where we're just trying to get out there and meet other MSPs and see, find out what their strategy is for growth and potentially maybe even exiting.
Other than geography, who won't you work with?
Well, we probably don't want to work with somebody that's maybe a bad culture fit, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
hard to find out, though, isn't it? How do you discover that?
I think you can. I think you can. Right. The very first one we did, I kind of knew it was a good culture fit. Almost from the beginning, he had a go-giver mentality as the business owner, so that probably crept down to the people that he was managing, right? So I felt really good about that acquisition, just based on my interactions with the owner. I think we had, and it's not like if you don't mind me saying, a wham bam thank you man, right? I nurtured that relationship for well over a year, so I really got to know who he was and what he was about as a business owner.
So there's a lot of smaller MSPs that I talk to, John, and a lot of them they don't want to be CEO anymore, right? They want to just be head of technology, or they want to just do the thing they like that being a business owner doesn't do for them. So when they're looking to be acquired by somebody to make a larger kind of group, what kind of questions should they be asking?
Yeah, I think they should be looking for culture fit too, right? Because they're probably going to tuck into the organization for some period of time, right? They want to know that they can maybe find a home and finish out their career maybe with the organization that's going to possibly tuck them in. And there's so many, we were learning today, right? And I'm saying this kindly, or as kindly as I possibly can. There's sharks in our water, right? There really are sharks in our water, is what they were talking about this morning in the Grow group. And sharks don't always have good intentions, right? Many sharks don't have good intentions. So what I see happening with larger MSPs trying to tuck in groups, or PE-backed firms trying to tuck in groups, they want to separate you from the herd, and then they don't want you to move, right? They don't want you to raise your hand and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Once they get you separated, it's almost like they put some handcuffs on you so I don't think that that's super fair. That's not how I want to be treated. That's not how I treat, the people that we're talking to, right? I want it. They have to be well informed, right? So, and there's many ways to be well informed. The first way is to raise your hand and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and telling more than one or two people, right? You don't have to tell your clients, right? That would probably send up a red flag in your organization. And I don't suggest you tell your employees, but tell some peers, right? They may have some experience that you don't have.
This morning, one of the presentations was Brian O'Shaughnessy and Rob Bruce, good friends of mine, known them for a long time. They decided to merge.
Sure.
So talk to me about the difference between merging and acquiring. You're looking really to acquire, correct?
Yeah, for right now, I really am looking to acquire. I have thought about a merger a time or two. It didn't work out. I have a desire to continue to lead and grow the organization as the chief executive officer, right? I think that I have a good vision for the organization that I want to build, and I think that my vision probably has a competitive edge that I want to execute on. So, and a merger doesn't always allow that to happen easily, right? You get two CEOs in an organization, and there could be some conflict.
Your brand deserves to be in front of the right audience decision makers, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are ready to take action. That's exactly who listens to the Joey Pinz podcast. Thousands of engaged business leaders and consumers tune in every week. Millions of views and listens across YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Sponsors see real impact, higher engagement, brand trust, and conversations. We offer strategic partnerships tailored to your goals, including targeted ad placements, branded guest appearances, multi-episode and event sponsorships. Make your brand part of the conversation. Let's grow together. Visit joeypinz.com/sponsor to explore sponsorship opportunities, or email us at sales@joeypinz.com. The Joey Pinz podcast, where brands and thought leaders connect.
I was talking to somebody earlier. They said their advice for MSPs was threefold. One was to join a peer group. Next was to get a business operating system, and then last to get a coach. What do you think about those three pieces of advice?
All critical, right? We learned, so we first got a peer group, which our first peer group was Evolve HTG in 2015, like I mentioned. We were not in Evolve very long before we learned about the EOS traction entrepreneurial operating system. We've executed on those initiatives that are outlined in the book with a leadership team, quarterly and weekly meetings with scorecards. So we've highly leveraged the EOS system in our organization for the past 10 years. Yeah, I truly believe in that. And then, as far as coaches, I've been blessed to be able to sit next to Arlen Sorensen in the M&A peer group for the past 4 years and talk about an education. That has been an amazing education. The fact that, and it's not only Arlen, right? It's Reed Warren and John Labram and, Jason from Integris. They are just all such go-givers. And it's been an amazing process. So it's not one coach I have. I have probably 20 coaches.
Certainly do. So when I talk to MSPs now, Jon, the three things that keep them up at night. Number one is cybersecurity. They're worried about their clients getting attacked. Two is what I call human capital. Like, how are they going to replace their talent if they leave? How are they going to get new talent? It's tough out there. There's big companies out there taking really good quality people. And then third, which you alluded to earlier, is just growth. PE is poured so much money into it. How are they going to grow organically and inorganically? A lot of these MSPs are tech-led. They're not really good at marketing and sales. How do you cope with those three? Do you agree with them?
Absolutely. Security is our number one focus, both internally and for our clients.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry.
Human capital.
Yeah. And human capital is extremely important. We just lived through the Great Resignation, right?
Yeah.
So, and that was super hard. Fortunately, it seems like we're on the other side of it. But like you said, it is hard to find talent in cybersecurity. Right? So it is a challenge, but it's a challenge we're up for.
And then growth.
Yeah. So growth is super important, right? It's the engine that propels your business. If you're not growing, you're dying. So I think it's super important to us. We have some very aggressive growth goals for 2025, and our 3-year plan talks about aggressive growth goals, and then our 10-year target is definitely BHAG, a big audacious goal. So
all from the EOS script. Yeah. Because the engine of organic growth is radically different from the engine of inorganic growth.
Sure.
Because you're looking for, with organic growth, it's more your geography. You're trying to pick a vertical. Do you have a particular vertical that you work on?
We are not niched in a particular vertical. I've heard that's could be both good and bad.
Right.
So
yeah. Our vertical ended up picking us. So we're in New Haven, Connecticut. So we just got some architects from Yale University. Ended up getting a lot of them. So It's just kind of, the danger, of course, John, is when one client represents a large majority of your revenue pie. There's
client concentration.
Yeah, the concentration is something to avoid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're talking to these MSPs and they may or may not be, open to this. I mean, is it a gentle conversation? What is that? Paint the picture for me. If you're approaching an MSP that's in your geography that may or may not be looking, you don't quite know where their head is it like an interview process?
I think it's, for me, and when I'm nurturing relationships, it's more about, hey, help me get to know you better, right? Help me understand how you operate your organization. What can I do to help you maybe grow your organization, right? I'm a firm believer in that. I'm not afraid of helping my competition. There's way too much business out there, right? To have a scarcity mentality. So, I'm looking for ways to help other organizations, just like people in Evolve have helped me grow my organization. So, So, I'm looking to help where I can.
I remember we bought a bunch of client MSPs early in the stage, and I remember one particular client left us, went with a competitor, we ended up buying them.
Okay.
So the client came back to us. A little awkward. Has that ever happened to you?
No, I can't say that's happened yet, but
it probably will.
It could, yeah. Especially since our geo that we're looking to tuck in is such a small geo.
John, has there been anything in the last month or so that you changed your mind on?
No, I'm trying to be more healthy personally.
Why?
Our health is our biggest asset, I think, right? At least as I'm aging, I'm realizing that.
How old are you?
I'm 55.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know that my health was my greatest asset when I was 35, right? I thought it was my radio looks. A face for radio, right? So anyways.
Yeah, so is a recent change in your health? It wasn't a scare or anything.
No, a change for the better. Yeah. So in September of 24, I got on this health challenge that I found online. And, so I've been pretty committed. I've been not pretty committed to it. I've been religiously committed to working out 6 days a week.
Wow.
And, so
because something or somebody or some group held you accountable.
Yeah, an online peer group. Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Just like HTJ, accountability.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's crucial.
It is. It really
anything
is.
you do. Yeah.
More coaching.
More coaching. What motivates you?
Yeah, I would like to leave a legacy for my family. A financial legacy, maybe a historic legacy. My oldest son works in the business. He runs operations for us. He's 35 years old, so I'd like to help him be successful. Maybe moving on after our exit, right? So,
so legacy, very interesting. Any other? Does your wife or anybody else work in the business?
No, my wife's a retired school teacher.
I see.
She has the heart of a teacher for real.
My goodness,
very
underpaid, underappreciated.
Yes.
Yeah. So, given that motivation, how do you measure success?
How do I measure success?
So, legacy is what really impacts.
Yeah, I think I can look back and I can see where I came from when I was maybe 30 years old, or even when I first started my first entrepreneurial journey, right? I was in my early 20s, and and just if I look back on where I am now versus where I came from, it's miles beyond what I thought I could have done, right? As an individual. And I definitely did not do it on my own, right? I had the coaches, and I have a great team of people at our MSP. So, yeah.
So Jon, I started my MSP in the 90s, and I was working way too hard. 14-hour. You're no stranger to this. Working way too hard. You mentioned your pivot to health. So I'm in front of my doctor, and I'm 340 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
She says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. She was just born. Scared the life out of me. Right? So I'm driving home, punching the steering wheel. How did I do this to myself? It's my pie hole. I did this. So spent the next 6-7 months, lost 130 pounds, and kept it off. You can't look at it as a finishing line. Kept it off. And people ask me, like, there's some secret. What you said, there's no secret, Jon. Discipline. That's how I lost. That's how you keep it up. I got motivation. I got routine, etc. I wonder how discipline plays a role in your life, Jon.
Oh, I'd say I'm very disciplined. I'm very regimented. I'm a member of 2 different fellowships in my community that I'm largely active in, and I participate in those like clockwork. I'm out of bed at 4 a.m. every morning to get to my office gym by, 4:30, 4:45. I get my workout routine in, but I've always been pretty regimented. Like, I like to do the same thing over and over and over again and watch life change, because basically life is nothing but change, right? So it can change for the better, or it can change for the good, right? 28 years ago, I found a fellowship in Alcoholics Anonymous. And so I just recently celebrated 28 years of not picking up a drink.
Wow.
And and I think that original recipe taught me to be regimented in many of the other things that I do.
So had you always had routine and kind of discipline even as a child?
Not before finding AA, no.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so that was the turnaround.
It was pretty inconsistent. I had a very inconsistent life prior to
AA, because there's certain steps you have to take, and there's a program. You got to stick to the program.
There's a recipe, and if you follow it, you find success. In EOS, there's a recipe, and if you follow it, you find success. In Evolve, there's a recipe, and if you follow it, you find success. So I'm big on implementing a plan, not that I necessarily developed, but one that's maybe laid out in front of you. It's like a builder, right? So a builder follows a set of plans, and he's going to end up probably with an awesome custom home, right? It's the same process in my mind, right? I found a plan in AA. I followed it, and I was successful. I found a plan and evolved. I followed it, and I was successful. I found a plan in EOS. I followed it, and we've been successful.
Your approach to general things in life, is it more science than art? I find you more scientific. You have a plan.
I'm not super creative, artistic type. Absolutely, yeah.
Looking for a powerful way to reach business leaders and engage consumers? The Joey Pinz podcast connects brands like yours with an audience that listens, engages, and takes action. High impact exposure with a fast growing loyal audience. Millions of views and listens across major platforms. Sponsors see increased brand awareness, trust, and conversations. We make sponsorships simple and effective with custom ad placements that fit your brand, deep audience engagement through authentic conversations, long-term exposure across podcast platforms and social media. Don't miss the opportunity to connect with your ideal customers. Visit joeypinz.com/sponsor to secure your sponsorship today. Or you can email us at sales@joeypinz.com. The Joey Pinz podcast, where conversations drive results.
So is there like an EOS, for example, is there any play for any gray and not a black and white, or you follow it?
We pretty much, we follow it religiously.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And pretty much everything you do.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I mean, my workout routine now is pretty regimented.
Wow.
The number of meetings that I go to for AA is pretty regimented.
Wow. I envy that.
My involvement in our church, right, is pretty regimented. So, yeah.
And you equate all this to discipline, you feel?
I equate it to not living in chaos. So,
structure.
Yeah, a little structure.
Yeah.
It's not going to kill anybody, I don't think.
And then if you have partners or coworkers that are a little bit more art and just enjoy the grays more than the black and whites, is there a collision there?
Yeah, we leverage strengths, Strength Finder 2.0 in our organization.
Yes.
So, we do the best we can to focus on, people's strengths and not look at their basement strengths, as they say, right? So, we're a big proponent of the glass is half full with everybody on our team. So.
Well, I thank you so much. It's really cool talking to you, Jon. I really appreciate it. So anybody listening or watching, they want to get in touch with you, how can they?
Well, you can find us at www.totalsecuretech.com. Or you're happy to reach out to me via email.
Very good. Jon at?
It's jcooper@totalsecuretech.com.
And it's Cooper with 2 O's, Cooper, just like it sounds. And I'm sure you're on LinkedIn as well.
I am on LinkedIn, yes.
Jon, thanks so much for your time.
It was great to meet you.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with 1 or 2 of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.